Hello and welcome to the Flintoff and Holcroft podcast.
What was that?
Well, basically, I've been listening.
That was very professional.
I've been listening to podcasts, Fred, and I realised that all that happens on our podcast is it goes, "Are we on?" You go, "Are we on?" And I go, "What podcast?" And I look at a bit of paper to work, and I think we've got to be a bit more professional.
Go on, do it then.
I did it then. That was on there.
So what says number 7?
That was on there. Hello, I'll do it again.
Go on.
Hello and welcome to Flintoff and Holcroft's podcast. This is episode 7.
In front of a live audience.
That we'll put on later. If I could edit, it would be on later. So we've not done one for a little bit.
No.
But I'm amazed we're actually in the same room because actually, as far as I'm concerned, you're on telly all the time now. When I switch on my telly, it's just you. It's A League of Their Own, it's Piers Morgan, it's just you're everywhere.
Oh, last Friday. It was a bit embarrassing, wasn't it?
It was Flintoff
It was 9 o'clock. Pick your channel. I'm coming at you.
What was... obviously, I went along to the studio, but we can talk about that later. But what's the reaction been like? Because it was in all seriousness, it was pretty serious as an interview. There's a lot of serious stuff.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit weird.
Yeah,
it's a bit weird because he's been asking me to do it for a while, and I've always said that I'm busy. I can't be bothered. Get someone else. Get someone out of Big Brother.
Is that because it is really in depth though? It's not like an easy.
But it's not so much that. It's more. It's a bit weird. You sit there, and the other shows you go on, like League of Their Own, for instance, you're part of a show, and you're messing about, having a laugh.
Yeah.
Well, this is a show about you.
Yeah.
And it's weird. You're talking about yourself for 2.5 hours, and it gets condensed to 45 minutes, or whatever it was.
Being in the audience, it went really quickly. And then,
I didn't have the. Let me tell you.
And then when I watched it back, obviously there's bits within it that was cut out that I thought, because I've produced chat shows, and you're thinking, oh, they've lost that, but they've kept that, and you can see why all those different things go on. But one thing that I really liked, one story I really liked that didn't make the edit was when talking about the pedalo, the fact that on your hotel bill, when you checked out of that West Indian hotel, the pedalo was on there. It
was on there. It was like you got to check out of an hotel, and you get that thing where you go to reception, and you give your room number and your name, and it's like the biddy printer, isn't it? And it's going across, and it was going across, and this list, it was like an August catalogue. It was like rum and coke, beer, pizza, burger, and it kept going and going and going. Yeah, that was before the game. And then it got to the end, and it said $1,500 pedalo, which I've seen sight and sound of again.
So the pedalo was $1,500.
So
was it a 4-seater with the thing on the back?
Didn't have a slide on.
What?
For $1,500.
You were ripped off. I tell you what.
But the worst thing about that story on the show was like there's a few light-hearted stories, and you're chatting, and you get a little reaction from the crowd. And then when the pedalo story started going, it was like this change of atmosphere, as if it's all gone serious. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I'm talking about getting on a plastic boat in the West Indies after a drunken night out in St. Lucia that I couldn't get on. I was so drunk, and you're taking this serious. Is this the depths of how shallow I am as a person? This is like the most important thing.
Do you know why though? Because on the VT, if you remember, is my quote. When I was really...
That was quote of the night.
I went for it, right? So just to sort of... I don't know if you know this, I was interviewed for 1 hour about you, and they used that bit where I sounded like I was being really arsey about you. When I said something like, basically, you can't get drunk and fall off a pedalo if you're not winning. That was essentially it. That came from one of our podcasts when we talked about the fact you can celebrate or not celebrate and stuff. But so it was like, it just came out. Also, what I did realise is my beard looked massive. It looked ginormous. My mum said I looked like my dad.
They just put you on there very quickly. I think without the beard, you might have got another quote. I dread to think what that would have been.
I think there'd be loads of people at home readjusting their TV when they see that beard.
Look at that head.
But what was funny is you caught my eye. You saw it happen. And then you looked directly at me because obviously the cameras couldn't see this, and I felt really embarrassed. And I sat next to Rachel, your wife, and I tried to lighten the mood when we sat down at the start of the show because I said, look, when you're crying and you're a bit emotional, I'm going to lean into your shot and put thumbs up and start winking at the camera.
But you put me off kilter because I got into serious mode. I got in, it was like acting at its finest. I was really pretending. I was really bothered about this story. And then you went, Well, you can't get drunk and fall off a pedal when you're losing. I've looked at you, I thought, is this really happening? But that whole thing was bizarre. I'm sat there in a suit and tie and a waistcoat, which
also, he's very close to you, Piers, when he interviews.
Yeah, but I knew his tactics, right? You sit down, and he sits on the edge of his chair, and he leans forward.
Yeah.
And I know what he's doing. He's trying to make himself bigger. So he's trying to look over the top of it. And I know Piers. It's like, see, Piers, will you sit back? I'm going to slap you. It's like, don't do this to me. Well, I got my suit, my tie and that. I had to go to the shop the day of the thing. I'd been fitted out for it. I thought I'd make an effort.
Yeah.
Where it's at Spencer Art, it's a real snazzy shop.
It's a lovely suit.
Lovely, and Joe looks after us. But every time I've been dressed like a tramp.
Right.
I'd come off a ferry from Belfast. I jumped in the car at Birkenhead. I came from Birkenhead in the car, straight to Spencer Art, in like the worst tracksuit. I'd not had a shower, I was smelling. It's like almost every time I go to Spencer Art, I'm in my worst clothes. It's like a sympathy plea. Give me some money off because I can't afford clothes.
But then the transformation is so impressive, obviously. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I got my kit on, and Joe, I don't think Joe at Spencer Art trusted me.
No.
Because he's fitted me out. He says, I'll get the clothes sent. He said, a couple of adjustments, and I'll send it to the studios. And then what transformed during the day was he's now decided he's going to come to the studio and dress me. He doesn't think a 36-year-old man is able to dress him. He put me shirt, put me tie, and sent me out there. And you stood backstage, right, and you're waiting to go on. What I didn't realise is that the audience turn up. The audience don't know who's going on the show.
It was announced in the warm-up bit. But what was good is people were very...
I was stood there, and Piers is giving his gambit. He's going, well, you know, I've interviewed people, but as a cricket fan, we've got Freddie and Flintoff.
Yeah.
And there's some...
I did hear people going, Giacomo, right from Giacomo next to it.
It's like, who is this fella? And you sit down and then you rattle into your first story and you think...
I heard another one go, James Corden's already done this, so we won't be it.
I was sat there and I heard people like thinking, you know, you're telling a story about cricket and you know for a fact that nobody's interested in cricket. It's a bizarre thing.
Yeah, I suppose also the audience that you get to record a mainstream ITV chat show isn't going to be the audience you get maybe that know that much about sport, possibly.
No.
Maybe. I don't know. But it was really brilliant to be there. I think one thing I can't believe you didn't do is you didn't cry when your granddad was talking.
No, I...
Because I was crying when your granddad was...
I thought about it. I thought about, you know, giving a performance.
Well, you're not... Did you sort of...
I choked up a little bit. If he'd have pushed it on that one, because... He pushed a couple of subjects which I weren't really bothered about.
Yeah.
And he kept going at it and asking, and I'm thinking, Piers, you're barking up the wrong tree. For someone with your experience, you're barking up the wrong tree. If it had gone at my granddad, because my granddad said something like, oh, that's my grandson or something. Or I'm his granddad.
He's obviously really proud.
Yeah, but I'd have gone by him. But he didn't push it. Well, like the first question he asked me was bizarre, and I didn't have an answer for it. He says, why are you on here? And I was why have you come on?
Oh, God, yeah.
And I was sat there thinking... That's a really good question, Piers. I can't say for the cash, can I? So I said, I came up with this thing and said, because you keep emailing and texting me. And then while I was asking the next question, I was still thinking in my head, why have I come on this
program? You could
programme?
have said to promote the Flintoff and Holcroft podcast.
Yeah, I missed the trick there.
Because he listens. He came up to us after. Do you remember? He came up to us.
Oh,
and you and I came over, and I was chatting to you.
Room.
Yeah, I was chatting to you, and he came over, and I was thinking, I'm just going to let Piers and Freddie have their moment because I'm not part of that thing. And so I turned to Tom, who we know, and chatted to Tom. But then Piers said, I know who you are. You're podcast boy.
Podcast boy.
Which was, I mean...
You're a 43-year-old man with a beard. And you've been referred to as podcast boy.
But he did say he liked the podcast, so that's good. That was positive.
I didn't like the green room apart from the Haribos.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Haribos and celebrations.
But green rooms are always a bit weird. They're never very comfortable.
But I didn't like the green room because they gave me the option and said you could have like 50 people as guests. Yeah. I'm thinking, I'm struggling here. What 50 people am I going to ask? Because you think,
what about the people from your stag do? 50 people.
55 minutes to half an hour. But then you think about it, you think, I'm doing a programme about myself. I'm talking about myself. So if I knew 50 people who know me, they probably know about me anyway. They don't want to sit and watch me tell more stories about myself. So I was struggling. I asked my mum and dad.
Yeah. They turned up.
They came, thankfully.
Yeah.
That was a push as well to get them a car from ITV. I was saying, look, come on, you promised them. So I put my foot down. Kate and a few from the office came, you came. I think that was about it, but went in the green room after them. The green room's always full of people you don't know. And whether the programme's good or bad, you've got strangers coming up saying, oh, that was fantastic. You think, I don't even know you. I hate it. And then my dad walked in, and I said, Dad, what do you think of that? He says, well, I'm glad it's all over. So you enjoyed it. I said, about you, Mum? He says, well, I didn't realise how slow I speak. He's like, so he struck a chord with you then. So I just wanted to get out of there. I went for something to eat and went home.
But it was, I thought it was good. I thought it was very good. But but one thing that really impressed me, that I was really happy about, on Friday night, when you could have promoted Piers Morgan or you could have promoted A League of Their Own, you tweeted just before 9 o'clock about the podcast. So
I did, yes. I thought, get my priorities straight. Never mind them jobs you get paid for.
Free podcast.
Never mind them jobs that have bought me new kitchen and pay for my mortgage. Let's plug the podcast, which absolutely gets nothing. They've not even got a sponsor.
Apart from the place in Hull.
Oh yeah, Vuba.
Yeah, but we've not really
Zuba.
We've not really followed that up. That was the Piers Morgan experience. But the thing I really wanted them to keep in, and I thought this is the soundbite they'll keep in. They said, "How would you describe Freddie?" And I said, "He's a big Labrador that can bowl at 90 miles an hour."
Yeah,
I thought that's better than you can't get drunk and fall off a pedalo if you're not winning.
But they don't want that, do they?
No. Although they were I really enjoyed the experience. The producer was really, really nice. And actually, one interesting thing about that green room thing from the other side, whenever I've worked on chat shows, is they've spent all their time thinking about you. All they've been thinking about is you. They've been looking at you on tape. They've been watching interviews of you. They've been their whole thing has been about you. So when you're in the green room after, and you're standing there and they've got the show in the can and they're thinking, oh, we finished that, that's brilliant. So of course they're going to come up to you even though you don't know them and go, thanks so much, because you've made their job better that night. Because you could have been crap.
It was all, even if you was, it would still say it was fantastic.
Because you can't go up to people and say
I think you should. I think you should be brutally honest.
Oh, but it's
they do it on talent shows that, don't they? Where someone comes and performs and they say, well, that's rubbish. Tell them. Let them know.
Oh, well, maybe I'll use that for my next job.
All right, as a producer, with your producer's hat on, sat in the audience, what would you have done? What would you do differently with that programme?
The bit where they were doing about your hand and your dad's hand.
Well, that was terrible.
That didn't work very well.
You didn't get in, did it?
Didn't get in. I think it's a bit tricky because I think when they talked about cricket, there's maybe because Piers is such a massive fan, he probably needed to do a little bit more of trying to explain what he was really talking about. But he could have done with a few more laughs, but that's because I like comedy.
Yeah, but it's meant to be like burning your soul.
But he did. I thought he did a brilliant job because it's a really long interview and he kept it all together. It was all off cards. And I thought what was brilliant is the moment he said, we're going to go to a VT, and he kept on telling you don't have to respond. Yeah. He kept on talking to the audience. He kept everybody... He was just good. I thought he was just really, really good.
Well, the only thing, because he was so close to me as well, you could smell his breath and everything. And then the worst thing about it was, he wore so much makeup. And I was looking at him, he was a bit drag. He's a bit drag. I'm thinking, Piers, you've got too much on here.
Did you fancy him?
No, he wouldn't be my favourite at the Tranny Shack. He's not got Dusty or a bag of chips. Tranny Shack, he'd be third or fourth favourite.
Yeah.
But he's putting a bit in.
Is he better than Betty Swallows?
No.
She's massive. In Brighton, she's the legend.
She's the one.
So that's Piers, but so the other thing, various things I want to talk to you about, because this is the standard, we're going back to normal now.
This is just a normal rubbish.
It's not, this is special. We're not really up trying. There's no special bits to this at all. It's just a chat. End of season. I'm sad, obviously, because we've come to the end of the cricket season in this country. I've dipped my toe into rugby. I went to the...
I don't get it.
I love rugby. We went to
Rugby League or Union?
Union. We went to... Me and my wife Rach went to the double header at Twickenham.
You get tickets for everything.
We go to lots of stuff. She's really into sport, Rachel. So we went to the double header, but what I noticed from going cricket to rugby fans are massive, but not just tall, they're really fat. So there's no space on trains, everything, just massive people everywhere, whereas cricket, they're not as big as that.
But rugby fans, a lot of them have played rugby at one point in their lives, they've done a lot of weights and they've eaten a lot of food, and got really big and drunk beer, and then when they retired, they just let themselves completely go. So there's that analogy where muscle weighs heavier than fat.
Yeah.
So at some point they'd have been really heavy but ripped, and now they're like massive but don't weigh a thing. I see. Well, I'm thinking about that. How does muscle weigh heavier than fat? So if you was like a 48-inch waist, you weigh 6 stone.
Because muscle.
So big fat people or massive people are really light.
Because fat is quite aqueous, it's quite watery, isn't it, fat? Whereas muscle is fibres and protein, that's why.
But rugby union fan, nah. I don't get it because it's like posh people cuddling each other on a field and it gets quite aggressive at times. But then they go off and they go in the bar, they sing Sunshine Mountain and get naked. What is that about? I've seen it happen. Rugby league, that's a proper sport.
Yeah, I've never really got into league, even though I'm not really from the north, from the Midlands. But anyway, so cricket season's finished.
Right.
I'm dipping into rugby, but I'm still holding on to cricket as much as possible. If there's any on, I'm trying to watch it. What happens if you're a player at this time of year? You're not playing for England, you're not an international player, but you're a county player. What do you do when it finishes?
Well, I had various jobs. I worked behind a record counter in Woolworths.
Did you?
Yeah, for a winter. I wanted to go to Australia and play cricket.
Is this in Preston?
Yeah, in Preston. And I wanted to play, but my mum said, "Nah, you're 16, you're not going to Australia, get a job." So my brother was working at Woolworths behind the record counter, putting himself through uni, so he got me a job.
Yeah. Pull some strings.
Pull some strings, he got me in, I passed the interview. It's a really in-depth interview. I was sat in a room with about 40 people filling a questionnaire out. It was like out-of-way suites and things like that.
Did you have to list who your favourite bands were?
Yeah, at the time it was like Oasis had just come out.
I had an interview at HMV in Lancaster when I was a student up there.
Did you get it?
No, because what happened is I went upstairs for the interview and they said list your bands. All my mates had got wind as I was having an interview. So when I walked down the stairs back into HMV, there was about 10 of them applauding me and cheering. I was just like, I started swearing. And the woman just looked at me and I was like, oh, see you later.
Did you get it?
I didn't get the job, no.
No, but I got my job at Woolworths and I worked behind the record counter. But one of my jobs also as well, I was in charge of putting up Christmas decorations.
Right, because your height.
Well, my height,
yeah.
and I could work a ladder.
Yeah.
So it was the best job ever. I just used to sit at the top of a ladder all day, pretending to put decorations up. Usually in store, the Christmas decorations are up first week in October. I was finishing off on Christmas Eve. I was sat at my ladder.
You're on double time.
Yeah, and but it was pathetic. And then one of my other jobs was, because back in them days in Woolworths, there was no cameras or CCTV or beepers. It's not like the dark ages, it's only like 20 years ago. They had store detectors. So what happens if you get someone thieving in store, when they go through the front of the shop, the girls at the front press the bells really sharply 3 times.
Yeah.
So 3 times you realise someone's nicking it. The lads feel obliged to get out of there. So the first time this happened, right, it's gone ring, ring, ring. I've vaulted over my desk. I'm a 16-year-old racing snake. There's nothing of me, right? This lad's running down the high street in Preston. I'm in my stride. I'm catching him up. He takes a right down to Winkley Square, down the dip, and then we got down the bottom of the dip.
Is it just you and him?
Just me and him.
Nobody else is with you?
I'm now 10 yards away from him. And he's turned around. He was a rough-looking lad. He says, right, come on then. And I looked at him and I thought, you know what, you can have them. I dropped me shopping. I thought, I'm not having a fight for a 5-pack of 90 TDK tapes. I thought, I'm just going to leave it. And then went back in.
Although home taping is killing music.
Well, yeah, well, and I went back in.
As far as I'm concerned, he was guilty of 2 things.
He was like, what happened? So he got away. And then my brother.
I can't believe that they just made normal members.
Kids. I was a kid, and then my brother, he became one of the managers, and he got to.
We know this because he's a big dog up there.
Oh, he was massive. He was Mr. Woolworths. You know, like that program, Mr. Selfridge. You're making one impression about my brother. He's like Mr. Woolworth. He's walking around like with the keys to the kingdom. But he was locking up one night, and he didn't do a proper check at the store. So he's locked. He's done all these things, and he's gone. Next morning, whoever's come to open up, there's a girl sat by the window crying. He'd locked one of the staff in.
Inside?
All night. It was like pre-mobile phone day, so this girl had been locked in. And then at Christmas...
Here's a question to you. What if you were locked in that Woolworths overnight?
I put 3 stone on.
Is that what you just eat?
I just walk
sweets?
past them, just taking them all day. all day long. And then there's another time my brother got in trouble because at Christmas they used to stack the shelves in the evenings through the night. But the nightclub was 4 doors down.
Which one?
Tokyo Joe's.
Tokyo Joe's.
So he used to come out and knock on the windows, and me and my mates would come in, and we just have sweets and pop for like 2 hours, watch a couple of films, and then go home. But then what we didn't know was the store got wind something was happening, so they like put camcorders up all around. So that's how my brother lost his job. He got rumbled, and I lost mine subsequently as well.
Oh, so to go for him to crash so far, to be at the top of the tree. And to go, I mean, it's a big fall from grace.
And now he's gone from selling tapes to fighter jets. So he's done all right.
Yeah. I worked in the Waterstones in Preston. I
remember you telling me.
I worked at Waterstones in Preston at the end of 1994 for 3 months.
That's Preston's quietest shop, a bookshop in Preston.
But we had one girl who worked there who had a knife pulled on her, and we had another instance where somebody came in and weed all over the children's books.
No,
it was mental.
I apologise.
I
hate Enid Blyton.
He was about 16. He's being chased by the bloke who said that he ran Woolworths.
Seriously?
Yeah. There's a week. There was But anyway, so you did you got a job.
I had a job. Darren Goff. He worked. He worked on the motorways.
But did you think, oh no, I really want it to be cricket again? You must really have missed the cricket, because it's a weird thing to do. To go.
What I found was, I quite enjoyed it. I got on a bike every morning and cycled in, but there was lights at the end of the tunnel, so I knew I was going back to cricket. And then I went on an England under-19 tour to the West Indies just after Christmas, just after I got sacked. The students, they were the worst though. The students, oh my word!
What, for stealing?
No, not stealing, just rude.
Students coming in
to the store, because at the time Oasis definitely maybe came out. And that was like the big hit.
So that's 94.
Yeah, just Blur was out and all these. So the students were coming in. And they talk to you as if you was like something wrong with you.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I'm doing this, just filling in. And I thought, nicely, why should I be worried about that? These are nice people I'm working with. And the students had this superiority complex. It was dreadful.
You know the worst part of that is, it wasn't even a university, it's a polytechnic.
It was at the time.
So there you go. I mean, that says a lot.
I wish I'd have known that at the time.
Central Lancashire Polytechnic it was at that time.
Yeah. In them days, all the lads got jobs. I had another job at Lancashire because I had a bad back. So they said like the year after, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go work on a building site. And you're like, oh, carrier. And they said, well, no, you got a bad back, you can't do it. I said, well, you pay me $2,500 a year, I need to make some money. So they said, we'll give you a job in the club, in the offices, in accounts. So I think in accounts. I can't add up. So
this is accounts for Lancashire Cricket Club.
On the payroll, like people. So I started off with this fellow called Murray Lane Smith.
Right.
And I couldn't do it. So
did you stop paying yourself extra? Like, did you keep going, I'll do for me?
There was a story about that, but I'm leaving it. But I started off in accounts, so I lasted 2 weeks. Then I got moved to the ticket office. Then I got moved out of the ticket office for falling asleep at my desk. Right? Because I had to process all the tickets. Oh, it was mind-numbing. And then I got moved into marketing. Nah, I couldn't market. So then I got moved into the club shop.
Oh.
I found my niche.
Yeah.
I loved it. I worked with this old lady called Joy. And it was the best days ever. Yeah. Just in the club shop all day, selling books and memorabilia and merchandise.
What we've learned from this is you're basically a storekeeper.
I should be in retail.
Yeah,
that's what I'm cut out
because
for.
In the olden days, when people finished sporting careers, predominantly footballers, they'd open up sports shops, wouldn't they? Don't think that happens anymore.
I also got sacked from work experience.
You actually get sacked from work experience?
Well, I don't know if I got sacked or just I got told not to come tomorrow.
What did you do?
Well, I sat down and they said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to play cricket." That's what I want to do. So they took it like a job in sport. So they put me in Debenhams in champion sport. So I was in there one day. And
Could you wear a tracksuit though?
Yeah, I was in a tracksuit.
Yeah.
But I had to leave me on, they didn't give me kit. So I was there, and then the lad I was working with says, "Look, I've got to nip out for a minute, can you hold the fort?" I'm 15. So I said, "Yeah, go on, man." I'm on champion sport in Debenhams, on the floor, on my own. These girls came in, right, they're about 17.
But he knew that you were right for the job. That's why.
No, but I think he was in on what I'm about to tell you.
Oh, okay.
These girls came in and started talking to me. So I'm giving it all, yeah, pretending I'm 19. This is my job. I'm cool. I can get you some Air Max. You know, I get your discount.
Your voice goes really low.
I get your discount. But whilst I was rattling onto these girls for 25 minutes, the rest of the store got rifled by some lads. So these girls were the decoy. And like $2,000 worth of kit had been nicked while they were talking to me. So this lad comes back in from wherever he'd been, and he's like looking at me saying, "What's happened? What's happened?" I said, "Oh, you should have seen these birds. They were amazing." I stood there. He says, "No, where's all the Ocean Pacific t-shirts?" It's like he was.
But in those days, an Ocean Pacific t-shirt would be worth a lot of money.
That was about 18 quid.
Yeah.
And then I got dragged in by the bosses, and I got sat down, and I had to give like a statement of what I was doing. I said, "Oh, I was talking about this and that." "No, not that." He's like, "Where was you in the store?"
How did they finish? So you were talking to them. Did they just at the end just go, "Anyway, we've got to go"? Did they leg it, or did you try and go, "No, maybe we could catch up later"?
I wasn't that good.
Oh, right.
They said, "Oh, we've got to go." And then the boss who I was talking to, she says, "I think it's probably best if you don't come in tomorrow." So, all right, I'm fine. Back to school.
Oh, no.
So that's my retail experience.
But I think for the future, there could be... Flintoffs could be... You could open up a Flintoffs.
Oh, it's a fish bar, isn't it? But that's work in progress. Where did you go and work experience for school?
I went to school. I went to be a
PE
PE
teacher.
Yeah, I went to be a PE teacher. So I basically said to the PE department, who I completely loved, Alan Denver, Pete Lance was, and then Mr. Lawson. I can't remember what his first. Richard Lawson. They were like.
There's always something quite nice about knowing first names of teachers.
I adored PE. I adored the PE department. I wanted to be a PE teacher, and I wanted to wear a tracksuit to school basically. So I said, "Look, can I come and work with you for it?" And I did that for a week, and I absolutely loved it.
So why did you not do it?
Why didn't I become a PE teacher? I don't know. I just went into podcasting. So another thing I want to mention, this is a topical story, and I think what I'm doing here is I'm formatting this podcast as we go.
We're getting formatted, nice.
Yeah, so I'm putting in topical stuff now. And the thing I want to mention to you...
his phone. Hang on for a second. Hey Rachel, I'll have to phone you back, I'm doing my podcast. Okay, I love you. Alright, bye. Sorry guys.
Was that my Rachel or yours?
I'm not sure.
So this is a topical thing. The Colombian women's cycling team.
Yeah.
Now this picture's all over Twitter because their outfit. So when you look at them, it looks like they're naked in the middle, and then it looks like they've got ginormous camel toes, which I think is to do with the padding that you would wear when you wear a cycling thing.
Right.
But it looks terrible, and actually people have been saying that the sad thing is that they've been really successful, but people are just talking about their outfit. And I just wondered with you, what was like the worst kit you've had to wear over the years, maybe an England kit or a Lancashire kit?
There's been a few.
But it's quite tight now, the Lancashire.
Well, this is where I was going. I like watch. I've seen videos or on Sky when they play old games, and even football, all sports.
Baggy.
Kit was baggy.
Yeah.
That's when I was at my happiest. That's when footballers, cricketers, and rugby.
No, 2000 no, the Admiral Ashes shirt was quite.
That was nice.
Yeah, it's quite big.
Before that, it was Asics, and they were baggy. I remember when we went to Cold Clothing in the late 90s.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was baggy. And then I remember this comeback of mine recently, and you get nervous. I was more nervous about putting the kit on, and I had this thing with Lancashire. I got in a bit of trouble because I'm not quite sure if Lancashire wanted me. I felt a bit unwanted because I said that I'd play, and I said, "Can I have some kit?" And no kit came. I was not getting any kit. I was using kit from the middle of the dressing room. What everybody else throws out, I was putting on. It was like the most
This is a running thing.
This is like the true story. I was getting like Glenn Chappell's skinny pants out and things.
They just thought he can just do it in his pants and vest. Just run out there. Did you ever have, this is slightly going away from it, you know when you were at like infant school and you used to have to get changed for PE?
Yeah.
Did you ever have a kid take all his clothes off?
Yeah, me.
No, but all of his clothes. You took all your clothes off. Because the kid in our class, you used to get ready into your pants and vest. One of the kids in our class went completely naked. And we were like, oh my God. And we turned around and everybody just couldn't believe this bloke was naked in the middle of the classroom. Did that happen at your school?
No, I can't remember.
Okay,
I'd say one thing I did enjoy doing later in life is in a nightclub when I was like in my 20s, going to the toilet and doing it like when you was at school as a kid. Do you know the reaction? I did it in South Africa. I went into the toilets and stood at the urinal and just dropped everything around my ankles and just stood there having a wee with my pants around my ankles. Anybody out there, if you go out into a busy pub or nightclub, just do that and just check the faces of people around you. You get an amazing response. But no, getting back to kids.
Sorry.
I said to Lankish, I need some kit. I'm an extra large, possibly double XL in this new tight gear.
Yeah.
It never came, and it got to the point where I put a tweet out to the club sponsors saying, "Is there any danger of me getting any kit?" This went down like a sack of spuds. This caused an incident. I got the marketing department saying, "Apologise for your tweet." I said, "I just want some kit," and then the kit came. They sent me large. Oh, I played my first game in the 2020. You was there at Arundel in the 2020s.
Yeah.
And I had to physically pull the shirt down over my knees and stretch it in the... Bear in mind, right, I'm a 36-year-old man. I played a few tests for England. I've captained my country. I'm in a dressing room surrounded by kids who maybe at one point in their life looked up to me as a cricketer. I'm pulling my shirt over my knees, trying to stretch me top. And they're saying, "What are you doing?" I'm saying, "This is just far too tight. I've not got my name on the back or anything." Everyone's got the name
Did
on
you
the
have
back.
a name? There was any name on the back?
It was just blank on the back.
TBC?
Yeah, possibly Flintoff. It was so...
Sounds like an aftershave you should bring out.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Possibly Flintoff.
Possibly, yeah, the smell. But I put this kit on, and I was running into ball, and I wasn't even thinking about where I was born at this batter. I was thinking, when I get into the coil where you lean back and put your arm up, my shirt's going to come up, and I'm going to expose my belly button. And I know there's cameras. So these new kits now, they're too tight. The Virgin on Lycra.
That I've got, I used to work with Charlotte Church on the Charlotte Church show, and for my birthday, Gavin Henson gave me one of his test shirts, one of his Welsh, which is amazing, a proper test shirt.
You never know when you need someone to clean the kitchen.
No, I can't even get it over my head.
Nah, they're tight.
I can't. It's embarrassing.
But it gives you an incentive to train.
Yeah.
It's like, now I'm training to get in my shirt.
Either that or change counties.
Yeah.
Have a look at all the pictures and go.
Kent, I'll go and play it.
Because that's because of Keezy.
Okay, he's not having tight shirts, is he? You look at Keezy. Keezy's not having skin tight. He knows the game. But it's even like in the dressing room. And when I went in, I was horrified. You know, I'm getting changed and I'm looking around. They've all got abs and everything.
They've all got a lot of tattoos as well.
Yeah, tattoos.
I mean, you've got some. You've got old school. You've got old school tattoos.
I have. Yeah.
That's not a Fijian tribal symbol.
No, or a full sleeve with all sorts.
Yeah, that's a proper man's.
Mine in comparison are like prison tattoos, aren't they? It's like, this is like the new age swallow on your hand.
They look like you've been in the merchant navy. Yeah. But yeah, so I just was thinking about kits.
But they got banned, didn't the women's kits, the Colombians? They get banned.
Has it been banned?
I thought it got banned for looking wrong.
It wouldn't surprise me. And then today, I was looking at the Metro, and then they've got the Munich football team. I think they're called Munich 1860, and they've got a new kit, which is Oktoberfest kit. So it looks like lederhosen. So it's shorts that are brown and look like the shorts that you wear and then the shirt is it looks like it's a check shirt, but it's actually still a football shirt.
But they've all gone back to like the 70s, haven't they? Because they were tight in the 70s.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm going to make another comeback when they go baggy again. Is it QPR? They've got a denim shirt.
Are they?
Their away kit's denim.
I love that. I love the thought that you're going to bide your time a bit longer. Just go, this is perfect time now for me to get back.
The kits have gone baggy. I think about it. If I have 5 years off every 3 years, I could be like...
You'd save the body.
I could be at Lancashire at 60. I could be pulling off spin.
Now, the other thing that I forgot about Piers Morgan that he didn't put in the edit was your lucky pants.
Yeah.
Now, I was interested because I know there's I think Steve Waugh never used to change his whites all the way through a test, so he'd have the same every day.
Yeah, that hat as well, which was battered, wasn't it? You see his cap?
Hat, yeah. But yours was slightly different. What you didn't change?
I had a pair of Marks and Spencer underpants, and they were like them. They were blue, which is even stranger because you see them through your whites.
Yeah.
You can always see. And there were them ones where you got the waistband, and then there's nothing at the sides, and you got your front pouch and your back pouch. And I wore them. And I think it was.
Why have you got them? Why did you buy them?
I don't know. It must have been on offer.
Right.
Oh, I found them.
On offer from who?
I don't know.
Some bloke.
Yeah.
On offer from Donald.
Donald, yeah, thanks, Donald. But I wore them once, and I remember they were like the figure of fun in the dressing room.
I wonder why.
And I wasn't the best in Nick. I had like the belly hanging over the waistband, and I was a little bit too big for them in certain places and too small in others.
Actually, one thing I did say watching Piers Morgan is when they were showing the big pictures, like the fat pictures of you, I said to Rachel, I was like, he looks all right to me. Most of my mates would they'd be proud of that.
Well, I was thinking the missus was going to leave me after that show. But I put these underpants on in the dressing room, and everyone's laughing at them.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm going to wear them again. So I wore them the next day. And then the next day, and then by the 5th day of a test match, they're pretty hanging, they're like crusty. So I thought...
I can't believe you wore the same pants for 5.
I wore the same for 5 test matches in India.
But I suppose if there isn't that much material, maybe your whites took most of the bashing.
No.
Did you change your whites every day?
No.
Oh my
I
god.
don't know. They were crusty. They were crusty. Like you were running and it was scratching. So I wore them, and then they went from being a figure of fun to bowling all right in them and doing all right.
Yeah.
And then announcing that these are my lucky pants. Bearing in mind, I didn't have too many pairs neither. That I just kept wearing them and wearing them.
Yeah.
And it became like fun. It became a little bit superstitious, although I'm not superstitious. But I can't believe that didn't get in. That's like groundbreaking news, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that's Sean. I mean, the story that everybody afterwards.
Apparently, like Alicia Dixon the week before told the exact same story. That's why I didn't get in. You know, on Britain's Got Talent, I went on the first time with these briefs from Marks and Spencer's. Simon Cowell said, "Hey, Alicia, what's that them pants about?"
At the end,
So I wore them again and again. They crawled off.
But the story that was like the story from to go back to Piers Morgan, the going into the cabinet room.
Yeah.
Because I've been in that. I did a sketch at number 10 for Comic Relief, and so we went on a recce. We went to the cabinet room, and it was when Tony Blair was the Prime Minister. And what they showed us, and I don't know if you remember, but his chair, everybody else's chair was flush to the table, but his was moved out to one side.
I think I was in it.
Yeah, so basically that was because he could just walk into the room and he wouldn't have to move his chair, just sit, he could actually just squeeze himself in, and he wouldn't have to actually move his chair to squeeze in.
But yeah, that was a true story. Like, a lot of stories over time.
That was a great story.
They get embellished.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that a couple of mine over the years have. However, that story about being sat in the cabinet room, with feet on the table with a bottle of Beck's, holding my own meeting as if I was Prime Minister and getting kicked out.
But the way
was the honest truth.
The way you painted that, because when you were talking, I could see that. I could see you sitting there. The way you were pointing to people and saying, "What have you got? Economic secretary,
Home Secretary, hey, Health Minister, tell us." But the funny thing was that day when we had that open top bus tour, there were certain things which I don't remember. Like we met Ken Livingstone.
Yeah.
And I only found out like a few weeks later that we'd done that.
Yeah.
I didn't know because I was quite fresh. But then there's certain things that are really vivid.
Right.
And being in the cabinet room was one of them. Being on the bus, being in Trafalgar Square, being sat on the swing in number 10's garden. You know, there's some real vivid amongst all the hazy stuff.
Yeah. The cabinet thing was brilliant. And you could see after, having worked on shows, you could see them thinking, "Oh, that's brilliant." You know, that's going to be that's definitely
got
in.
that.
So that was that. Next topical story.
Yeah.
Rio Ferdinand's autobiography is being serialised at the moment in the Sun newspaper, and yesterday, shocking. One thing that he revealed that I thought was completely shocking, and I was taken aback, was the fact that David Moyes, when he was manager at Man United, banned chips.
No.
The night before a game.
You couldn't eat chips the night before.
And I know that you love chips, and you are a connoisseur. You're selling chips at the moment.
Yeah.
And so I'm surprised on BBC Breakfast News you weren't called in to give some sort of quote.
I think David Moyes should never work again in football. He's banned chips, but that's one of them things. Right, as a professional sportsman, right, you get hung up on the little stupid things.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. You look back, and then Rio might do this and read his book and think, actually, you banned chips. It's not really that bad, is it? But you do. I remember I used to ruck like you've never seen. We used to have this strength and conditioning coach called Nigel, useless. And
was he called Nigel Useless?
I think that was his middle name. And he did this job, right? And in my day, you come off, at Old Trafford on a Friday, if you was playing a 4-day game on a Friday's fish day, fish chips, mushy peas for lunch. You knew what you were getting. You might get a steak on a Wednesday. You always had a potato option, and you had a veg option. You're going. And then, as the game got more professional, these things seem to phase out a little bit. And I used to ruck with this fella every day because at Yorkshire, you knew you'd get a great pie. They were good for pies, and then they disappeared off the menu.
Right.
If you bowled like 20 overs in the morning, you want to come off, and you want food. You want something you like and something you want. And when you get like a stick of celery and some hummus, you start rucking. Not the fact that you're born at Tendulkar or Dravid and you can't get them out. You focus on the things that really matter. And it seems Rio Ferdinand's, he's done that, hasn't he, with the chips?
Yeah. But then I think when apparently he said something like that when Ryan Giggs took over at the end of the season, the lads were right onto Giggsy about getting chips back on the menu for the night before. But then they played really well, I suppose. They won matches at the end of the season. I just think that it just feels like it's a thing, I suppose, when you come in and you go, right, I'm the new guy and I'm going to have this rule, and it sort of sums up my management style, that I'm going to be hardline about chips.
Did they have chips at Everton?
Probably not.
But did he do anything else that bothered Rio? Did he do anything? Just chips?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you've written at least one autobiography, right?
Yeah, I've done a couple now.
Yeah.
I'm doing another one soon.
I would call them cash-ins. You've done a couple of cash-ins.
I wouldn't say cash-in. I'd say I would, yeah. As I was saying that, you had that look in my eyes to say, shut up. Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are.
Because obviously they
I did one at 26 and not even lived. It was like 26.
But I suppose they go into him. Rio's probably thinking, I've got to put something in there. I can't put really extreme secret stuff in there.
No, I'll do chips.
So I'll go. But it makes it feel a little bit. It just looks a little bit weird.
It's funny though, because I remember I'd been to Carrington a couple of times where Man United train, and as a cricketer, right, bear in mind your training facilities are either a leisure centre or you go to David Lloyd and pay £60 a month so you can use a gym. And we went to.
Do you all like share the membership as well? So you go in and do your bit, and you get to the next player.
You have to pass it behind. We share lockers. We can't afford the lockers. It's like, who's got £1? And we went to Carrington with the England team, and there's a barrier at the front to get through the security. You drive down this long gateway, and it opens. This place is unbelievable. You walk in the dressing rooms. The dressing rooms, I'll never forget, had combinations on like the lockers.
Yeah.
So you press your number and the door opens. You had a room for your boots. People put your boots and cleaned your boots.
Yeah.
I had to clean my own whites. And then you go into the canteen.
I bet there was a room where they just had loads of pants that you could have any pair you wanted.
Anything you wanted. They had a pool table. They had foosball. They had arcade machines. They had Sega Outrun. They had everything, right? And then the canteen was like, if you imagine going to the best motorway service station in your life.
Hang on, I'm going to do that. Right, I'm there.
Times it by 100.
Oh my god.
You can walk around with your tray
and
that's you can
amazing.
Get anything. This way it was like they had a lot of chips, anything you wanted. They'd cook anything for you. So I suppose if you get used to that lifestyle.
Yeah, I guess.
And it's taken away from you. All I say to Rio is, try playing cricket.
But I was thinking about bans, and another ban is the boxer sex ban that they talk about a lot, that you're not allowed to have sex like about 2 weeks before a fight or something like that.
Well, I don't know. I didn't want it all the time I was training. I couldn't be bothered.
Because you were so tired.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing to do with the missus.
Yeah.
It was like
just exhausted.
I couldn't be bothered. And I was looking at myself in the mirror with my nose all over the place, my lip bleeding, and thinking, she probably won't want it anyway. It's like, I'm not much of a catch.
But is the theory...
And your breath stinks because you're on the Atkins diet.
It's the theory that you're kind of more... Did they talk to you about that? Did Shane McGuigan talk to you about that?
I asked him, and he dodged over the subject.
Right.
I think...
Did you have to have sex with him?
Yeah, that was a prerequisite.
That's what he does where you can have sex.
Yeah, just see if it makes me more aggressive. But yeah, he didn't say anything different, and I don't know if cricket's the same, but there's no bands on it.
No,
imagine that like a 5-day test. Need a bigger box.
Yeah, you come out and there's just a ginormous. But I was thinking the thing.
What's the thinking behind it? It makes you less aggressive.
I think it's about testosterone. It makes you more pent up and more aggressive. But like nuns don't have sex, and they're not aggressive. So
I don't know them schools.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. It did make me think about that picture of the Indian team. There was a picture, I think I sent it to you, it was in the papers, the Indian team, and they had Nando's and McDonald's like on the pitch, whilst I think they were like warming up or something like that before, I think it was a 50 over game.
Yeah.
So I think they just got to the end of the tour and they're just like, whatever, let's just really go for it.
But I think that's good though. I don't mind that. Whether the Indians have got a new sponsor which are about to announce and they're getting the Big Macs out of them.
Oh yeah, better luck than us.
Yeah.
With that flooring company.
Burger King anyway. But if you look at the Indian cricket team, and the picture I saw was Suresh Raina.
Yeah.
He was a fine player, but I played with his lad, and I've seen him change. He's carrying. He's just dipping his hand into the bag to get his burger out. I think he's fantastic. Because I know when India played at Old Trafford for the Test match, India came with like a rider, bigger than Mariah Carey.
Really?
He was like, they want this, that, and the other. They got chefs in. They spent a fortune on food for all sorts, and then they turned up, and then they said, "Oh, we've done this, that," and he says, "Nah, Burger King." The captain wants Burger King for lunch. So what? So like, Dhoni was coming off and having his flame.
But one thing I did think is it's cold. That would have taken ages to get there. That's not great, is it? I mean, that's the thing I was thinking about.
But then you can understand it because when we come off like some days, there's always a curry option. So you come off as an Englishman and there's a curry. Yeah. They come off and think, I don't want a curry.
Yeah, I
want fish and chips. Or I want a burger. It's like in India, do they go out till 2 o'clock in the morning, go home and have an English?
Well, but I went to in Calcutta. I went to the Pizza Hut there, and it was rammed. Like the pizza was massive. Like but you could get curry pizza, which is brilliant. So we tried curry pizza. But it's really good. Yeah. But the other thing I was thinking about sort of stuff like food and drink to do with cricket is that there was a player called Harold Larwood.
Quick bowl, amazing.
My granddad saw Harold Larwood bowl for Nottingham.
Bodyline?
No, not the.
But he was in the Bodyline series.
My granddad was a miner and he played cricket and he went.
How old was he?
My granddad,
is a miner.
I'm trying to think how old he'd be now. He must be in his 90s now, so he died in his 70s. But and Larwood was like his hero, so we talk about him all the time. Yeah. When I was growing up, my granddad would talk about seeing Larwood bowl. He went to see him play for Nottingham, and he broke 3 wickets in a day, because he was so fast, so ridiculously fast. But I read Larwood's biography, which came out a couple of years ago, which is brilliant, and it talks about this thing about he in Test matches, and I think in Notts as well, he wouldn't drink water in the day. So when they brought the water on for the players, he'd have a pint in the middle of the tray of waters.
During the game?
He'd have a pint during the game, and he didn't eat, and he thought beer was the way for, and it didn't affect him. Obviously, it made him bowl brilliantly.
That's fantastic. I'm not advocating drinking on the field, but what I quite like about it is that sport's gone so professional, and it's like untouchable, and just bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Have a bit of common ground for people. I remember like Peter Martin at Lancashire, his nickname's Digger Barnes from Dallas, who liked to drink.
Yeah.
Because when he played his first game in the second team, he sat down at lunch and he pulled a hip flask out and poured himself a Baileys. Poured half a pint of Baileys to have with his lunch, and everyone was saying, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well,
primarily."
He said, "My mum used to give me Baileys when I was younger to sleep, and since then I've always drunk it." So
there's 2 things wrong here. It was given Baileys to go to sleep. And the second thing, who drinks Baileys? It's like the thickest.
Well, and then they called him Digger Barnes, but it was only in the 80s when they'd come off and have a pint at lunchtime.
I think the moral of the story is, if we've learned anything from this podcast, because I'm wrapping up now in a sort of professional way, is everything in moderation.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's good, Clyde. It's very profound.
Everything in moderation. So, but that's it. That's all I've got.
We're done. We're done.
We've done 49 minutes.
That one soon, man, didn't it? I
Yeah.
hope it's soon gone for you, lot.
What
about you, mate?
One thing I did want to mention is different people talk about listening to the podcast in different ways.
Yeah, lots 3 or 4 of them.
And apparently, I was reading this thing that the average length of a podcast is like 30 minutes because the average commute is. Loads of people listen to podcasts when they're commuting. Maybe they're on the tube. So what I'd like to say is, if you're on the tube now and you're listening to our podcast, look at the person opposite you directly in the face and imagine having sex with them. Thank you.
Whoa.
That's it.
Enjoy. And on that note, if you want to sponsor us, let us know.